let's be honest. You want to do more than fly when you're in the astral realm. You want to have the most amazing experiences beyond your imagination. You want it to knock your socks off and just change your life. And that can totally happen. But that has to be things that you're going to know how to do. And our imaginations are just too limited, right? We just want to do the usual things that we're going to have and do. And this video is going to take you beyond those little limits and put you into the category of into the thinking of somebody who's been doing this for 30 years and what can knock your socks off and change your life forever. Okay, so let's get to it. Welcome back, cosmic explorers and wonderful people. Um, I'm your guy, Frank, and yeah, you're going to want to do things other than fly. So this video is going to cover at least 5 topics on what to do and how to do it. So let's get to it. Before we get into it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You get that out of the way, let me know that you like this kind of content, and let's get to it. Now, this isn't theoretical. I didn't read this on the internet or whatever. I do these things and I live these things, and that's why I'm bringing them to you. One of the first things, and not to put down flying, flying is a basic um, skill. It's like walking here in the physical world. It's a basic skill. You need it to explore more and do more quicker because, like I always say, the clock is ticking on your astral adventures, and you want to get things done as quickly and expediently as possible, and flying helps that. And I brought up in some other situations how flying can help you explore, how you can see things at a distance. You can fly up and see things wide, and you can fly out and see other things. You can fly up past the earth and the moon and all that jazz, right? We'll get on to that stuff. But beyond that, and that's all great. That is all great. That is all, early on, that was life changing. Okay. But one of the greatest things, and things that anybody can do and use, is communicating with your guides and your higher selves. This is a big one, dudes, because they know more than you. It's like it's contacting your future self, because there's no time in the astral. You exist at this time. Yeah, here, oh, here's your timeline. Right? Do I have anything else? Yeah, here we go. Here's your timeline. This is where you are now. This is when you were born. Let's just say that's when you got passed away. Um, you exist on all these points, and further even. But for you right now, all these points. So you can ask this guy or girl what you're supposed to be doing now. And it's like time travel. They'll tell you all these great things. They'll help you out. They'll help you out in situations you never dreamed of. I have asked them, and they have taken me on journeys, dude, in the astral, in the physical. Amazing, amazing things. Even if you don't even believe it's real, right? The science fiction aspects of this are off the charts. Beyond anything you're going to see, right? I don't know, Star Wars, Star Trek. Beyond, 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 beyond. Okay. One of the most profound experiences is communicating with your spiritual guides on a one-on-one. Ascended masters, they're not even gods, they're just people who know how to do things exceptionally well. They don't have to have, see, guides are connected with you. In a way, they're entangled with you, or they're entangled with your karma or your life, or they're really interested in how you do. There's a lot of reasons why they're guides for you. But ascended masters are just people in the astral that usually have been around for a whole long time. Some people specialize in things because they just can't get enough of a thing, and that's your ascended master. Could have been living like centuries in the astral, just doing this one thing, and that ascended master can't get enough of that. You ask that one how to do something, they will blow your mind. They will give you success quick. Let's see. I have notes in the back of me. Let's see. Oh, they'll be able to jump a quantum jump. I can't even say it. Quantum jump. Your wisdom, your guidance, answers that you have about, and don't be too afraid to just ask simple questions or dumb questions even, because they are. First of all, they probably know where you've been and are good with the questions you're going to ask, and know that you need to get over the simple dumb questions so you can get on to the more intelligent, more expansive questions. Now, my thing with spirit guides is, one of the favorite things is just ask your higher self to take you on an adventure. What should I be doing right now, higher self? What should I do? Come to me and help me do it. And be receptive to whatever happens, right? I tell a story where I did that in a field. There was nothing else around me, nothing else to do. And I said that thing, and all of a sudden I was floating up into the air, and then I was whisked backwards, which is not a fun feeling at first, right? To be flying backwards at breakneck speeds. But that started a whole new adventure that I still treasure to this day. And I think I helped out another person deal with childhood trauma from a long time ago. And like I said, time is not the issue there. It's alignment is the issue. That's the issue. You'll get, first of all, how to do this thing. So you want to communicate with guides or ascended masters or your higher self, all those things. You really, 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 really need to do that. So the first thing that you'll need to do for that is to set a clear intention that that's what you're going to do. This is, you'll lay down and you'll say, this is my clear intention before projecting or going anywhere. I'm going to meet, fill in the blank, and I'm going to ask this question. That's going to change a lot of things, and it's going to set you up for success, and they will be ready for you and your answer before you get there. They'll be like, I know you're going to ask that question because you were on it before. Well, let's go do it. And let me just say this too, when you're communicating with anybody in the astral, a lot of it, the lingua franca, which is basically a term for the language that everybody else uses, is telepathy. You're going to have to get used to telepathy because that's how everybody there communicates. And it's just consciousness talking to consciousness, and it's all consciousness. It's just different vibrations of consciousness. That's what separates us, and that's how you can communicate with aliens, people from other planets and other worlds and other dimensions and other languages and blah blah blah, and it goes on, because you're a consciousness and they're a consciousness. You're just trading information. Let's see what my notes have. Oh, that's right. You will get feelings, pictures, symbols, and you may actually hear words, spoken words. Now, if it's a person from Earth, you're probably going to get words, and you're going to hear, like, it's going to, like, you'll hear the words in, like, sounds, and you'll also hear that word as a thought. And you might also get a picture or a feeling as a third thing that goes along with it. And you might get a fourth thing, like a feeling, like it feels bad or it feels good or it feels whatever. That's what it's going to be like. Be totally open with that. I started one day because I stumbled upon it one day when I was in the astral, and I was just sitting around amazed at how everything was. And I decided to be, I was like, I'm going to be, there was a lot of people. Looks like something like a college campus. And there were dorms on one side and dorms on the other, and trees and walkways, and it looked really nice. And there were a lot of people coming and going. And I said, I'm going to be open to all these people and all these things, and open myself up. And when I did, I started to get in all their feelings and thoughts. And of course, it sounded like a restaurant, right? All these conversations. And I was like, whoa, what is that? What is that? Oh, that's telepathy. Oh my goodness. How do I feel about this? I mean, I'm getting a lot of thoughts and conversations, and yeah, but it's a thing. And it works perfectly. It works for everybody. Just be open to it, open yourself up to it, and don't be afraid of it. And you might have to go through that phase of how do I feel about this, but you can close yourself off. That as a caveat to that, right? You don't want everybody to hear everything you're thinking, and you can close yourself off. You can just simply intend not to send this out to everybody, not to broadcast these thoughts. That closes it down. Now, as a human being on Earth, you will have a habit of just yelling your thoughts to the winds, right? But you can get to a point where you just close your thoughts off and say, no, nobody else is going to hear this but me. And that works. Number 2, explore different planetary and galactic landscapes. Yeah, you can do that too. So when you're done, well, honestly, I started, it's all wibbly wobbly, right? I started talking to my guides and my higher self, and then they bring you places. One of them brought me to a different galaxy. And I was like, okay, I'm along for the ride. Now, when I popped out of the Milky Way, I was like, whoa, should I be putting the brakes on? I don't know where I'm going. But I realized it was perfectly safe. It's the astral. So I was like, okay, I'll go along with the ride. I know that I'm going to be able to pop right back into my body no matter where or when or how far or how, far in time or place. That really doesn't matter. So I just went along for the ride. And I was brought out of the Milky Way, which definitely does feel like a thing, and a lot of time in empty space, but still traveling way above what light would travel. Went around the Andromeda galaxy, and there is another galaxy, much smaller galaxy, behind it. Much smaller than the Milky Way. Definitely smaller than the Andromeda galaxy. Like maybe a quarter the size, less than a quarter the size of it. And I was like, is that a galaxy? Does that kind of a thing really exist? Like baby galaxies? And then I just was brought down into an arm of it, a kind of a closer part of the arm of it, to a system, and down into a planet that had a lot of cloud cover on it, more than Earth does. And then a whole nother adventure came out of that. And that was an incredible adventure that I had. But I'm not going to explain it here because that's up to you, right? That's a whole other thing. Because I'll be here talking about stuff for hours. Okay, we'll do story time somewhere in this video, right? You're not limited to Earth. You can do these things on your own. Now, the first time I got out, hey, let's do story time. Okay, so your guides, they know all the levers to push, all the things to do, and how to get you to another galaxy in a pinprick place, 3 galaxies away. But when I do it, I didn't know anything. So I got out, of course, and I got out above Earth, which I had done at that point probably half a dozen times, which is an experience in itself. You should really get above Earth and see what it's like to go straight up about, 200 miles up, where the satellites hang out and stuff. Anyway, so I was like, okay, I'm out, and I'm out of the Earth, I'm going to explore space. Now, I had no intentions, right? This is why intentions is so important. I just went straight ahead, going ahead. So I just went straight ahead, and eventually a star showed up, and I just kind of like pivoted a little bit to that star and then went flying right towards it. And a lot of time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't know, 15 minutes. Space can be very spacious. You have no idea how spacious space is. I found that out and I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, maybe I need to go a little quicker. Just going and just the blackness of it all and the stars are there and you're just shooting through it all and trying to keep your focus on the astral projection and you because parts of your mind are like, oh come on, let's do something else. This is ridiculous. I mean, how long are we going to be doing this through black space and following this little dot out in the middle of you don't have no idea how far away it is. Well, eventually I got to it and I didn't know how to put the brakes on. So I went right through it. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm not stopping now though. Next one. And this time we'll do it right. And I went right towards another one. It was definitely a quicker experience. And I got to it. And as it got a little bit bigger, instead of being like this, it got a little bit bigger like that. I started to put on the brakes, right? Um, like the star in my uh, system, star system, is probably about that big, and that's from Earth. That's not that's not far away from the star. So I put on the brakes right here, and I realized I needed to get closer, and then the star got so it was like this, and then it got like this, and then it got like this. And when it was this size, I was like, oh, it's interesting. And it had an aura of what looked like gas around it or something. And I was like, that's unusual. I've never heard of a star having an atmosphere around it. Maybe my vision is inverted or something. And my vision inverted actually. And then the whole thing just seemed weird. It looked like a donut with a hole, black hole. And then I reverted it back, and then it looked like a circle with the. And I was like, I don't know what this means, but this is interesting. And I just was like that for a couple of minutes. And then the idea is like, dude, you just saw something important. You got to get back to the body and you got to document this. Whoosh, went back, which is good. There was nothing else to see out there. I was far away out there. And a few years later, I remember seeing on YouTube they were talking about stars and that some stars kick off a lot of dust. Um, it's dust is not actual. What we think of dust is just exhaust from the star. It can give off a lot of different things, but some stars are like that. They kind of have an atmosphere around them. And of course, there is the corona around a star, but it doesn't look like that. Anyway, yeah, I found out that definitely was a thing, and that was verification for me that it was a real thing that I saw. Um, I wouldn't recommend just going out there and flying somewhere because it takes forever. I was lucky I got there. I blew through the first target, which was probably a good thing because it was just a star that had nothing interesting about it. And then I went to the next star, which had something interesting going on with it that I was going to see in a couple of years, was a point of validation. But you have to have, like I said, you have to have a clear um, intention on specifically on what you want to do, what planet you want to go to, what star you want to go to. Now, your higher self can help guide you. You don't have to know the constellations when you get out, right? You don't have to be an astronomer to know where everything is. You can just ask your higher self, I want to go there. and see what happens, because your higher self knows how to get there, almost guaranteed. Now there are places your higher self has not gone to yet. It's not infinite, um, but you've gone places in the future, so you can ask it, especially if you have an interest about it. Um, and sometimes just having a desire to go somewhere, your higher self will take you there as soon as you are able to in the astral. Soon, you won't have to go through the whole asking and all that stuff. You'll just be like, out, boom, there, done. Keep yourself open to whatever you experience. Don't say that's impossible. Don't say I close myself off to this. I don't want to see this, unless it really is something you don't want to see. Um, because the things that don't make sense are the things that when you get back will make sense later. Sometimes a couple years later, or 5 or 10 years later, I found out some verification things that I had seen out in the astral 10 years later was true. So just be open to it, and you come back and you record it and you put it down, so that little nugget of information is always with you in some way, even though your brain might not remember it because it has a hard time remembering things that aren't in the physical realm. Put it in some kind of document. I do electronic. I like to talk things into my phone, right? This is a phone. And just like a verbal note, a verbal recorder. Let's say this is the verbal recorder. Yes, I went here and I did this and I did X, Y, and Z, and then you press the button and it's off, and it's got a date stamp, time stamp on it. It's wonderful. It's a great way to keep notes on everything. And then I like to put it into text as well, because it's easier to read and go back to on that aspect as well. And when you put things into text, you remember more. Okay, so if you like these kind of things, yeah, put it down in the comments. What would you like to see? Where would you like to go? What are the first things you'd like to do? My first stuff, of course, was planets and um, first stuff I think was planets and getting out of Earth, going to the moon. Going to the moon is tricky, baby. Everybody says it. You go to the moon. This is a caveat right here. Probably shouldn't even be putting this in this video, because this is just going to extend things as far as time is concerned. But I have to put it down there because I mentioned going places. And the moon is a tricky place. Everybody who goes there usually has some kind of, they get stuck on the moon, like you go there and now you can't move anywhere, and then you kind of get scared on whether you can come back to your body, and then you're back at your body. So what a wasted experience. You went to the moon, yay, for like 2 seconds, and then you got scared and came back. Other people say there's all kinds of things when you get to the moon. And I haven't entirely explored why this is true, but it can be a tricky place. Tell me if you've gone there before. Put it in the notes if you've gone there before and you had a great experience, or what your experience was. Some people said they've gone there and there were tunnels underneath. Some people said that they've seen ships there and aliens there and the whole rigmarole there. Why did I say that? All right, let's go on to the next thing. One of the other very important aspects with this all is healing. Let's face it. The physical life is a difficult thing, and it's probably why we're here, because it's difficult. This is the thing. This is what we came here for. But you're going to need healing. You're going to need psychological healing. You're going to need emotional healing. You're going to need intellectual healing. You're going to need emotional. Did I mention that already? And you're going to need spiritual healing. And forget the song sexual healing, because you're not going to need that. But you're going to need healing. And you can do all that. All that can be helped by the astral. There's just so much to do there and have there. I mean, you can get the knowledge on how to help yourself. You can just say, I need to be healed in this aspect and go off and get that healing. Really, it's just that simple sometimes. And it can correct imbalances, emotional imbalances, spiritual imbalances, chakra imbalances. And yes, chakra. I didn't think that chakras were a thing until I started this whole spiritual adventure. And I can tell you they are a real thing. I've seen them. So you can get that done too. All kinds of help. I would say, what's best? There's just so many ways to go about it. You could go into the astral and, oh, one big caveat before we go anywhere, right? And this is important because this is a little bit of a dangerous situation. You don't just ask for help blindly when you get out into the astral because it's just like any place else. It's like going into New York City, right? Just go out there, go onto the subway and cry and say, I need help. Somebody help me. I don't know what'll happen to you then, but it's not going to be what you wanted. And it could be bad. In the astral, there are people that are nasty and are just looking to help you, help you. Right? So never just have a blank help. Ask your higher self, your soul, your bigger soul. Ask God, ask Jesus for your help or whatever heavenly, divine angels. That's another good one. All your guides, your ancestors for this help. Healing, all that kind of healing stuff. Ask them for that. And that will be very helpful for you. You can also do it yourself, which is a little trickier. You visualize a golden light or a white light or a gold white light, whichever feels best to you. A lot of people also have a lot of success with green light. Apparently, this comes a lot from the heart chakra area, which is mostly green, and it's a healing color, and it's a healing, the energy there gives off a green light. It's complicated. But yes, if you envision that, then that is it's primarily healing. But the golden and white light incorporates all the lights. So if you need another vibration of energy, it's in there. And you can direct it to the part of your body that you need to help. You can talk to the parts of your body that you want to help. You can ask it, why are you sick? Why, or better yet, no, don't ask it why you're sick. That's not a good one. Ask it what you need to be healed. Ask it what you need. What do you need for me to do to help you out? And it will tell you. I mean, in a trance-like state here in the physical, you can do that as well, and people do that. That's becoming a common thing. Let's see what my notes are. Intend for perfect health and balance. Yes, you can get out before you even have your experience. Before you go to sleep, you should be trying to intend for a great life and great balance and be healthy in all aspects. That will help you out a lot as well. And then you don't kind of have to ask for it. It's just an intention that's going to come to you. And there are realms out there. Now, oh, that's another thing too. Um, there are builds, and they're builds. The buildings, like buildings. Because all these astral places, it's just energy, but somebody molds it into our consciousness molds it into things that we are aligned with in our desires. And some of these are hospitals, some of these are high tech, partly alien designed healing hospital-like areas, and you go there to have your energy aligned more with health and healing rather than the sickness and the illnesses that you have, or a future sickness and illness as well. And they will align your energy. That's what that's about. It's nothing physical going on there, but the energy. So when you come back, you will have a different alignment. Your body will be more in touch with being healthy than with being sick. Some people have had miraculous situations happen with this. Um, I have had, I haven't had any miracles with that, but I definitely, when I'm sick, have tapped into that and had my health increase substantially. So it's not like you have a cold and then you can go into the astral and come back and it's gone. But you can be miserable one day, and I've done this. Absolutely, like death warmed over is the term. Go into the astral and do all this physical healing, consciously and subconsciously, and then you come back here, and then you go back to sleep, and then you wake up the next morning, and 90% of that cold is gone. My nose was a little stuffy. I still had I still had the stuff, but it didn't bother me anymore. I felt like $1,000,000. I had a little scratchiness in the back of the throat, sinuses. It was still there, but it didn't affect me anywhere near what it did yesterday. And half decent amount of sleep shouldn't have done that. Although you could argue it did, right? And a lot of these miracles are usually have the free will component. I call that the free will component. They're not made so that you can't disregard it. They're made so that you can disregard it if you want to. You can have free will about what happened. You can believe anything. You can believe that it was just a coincidence, or you can believe that it was a miracle.